Hey YouTubers, Mike Martins here with the Mike Martins channel. What a gorgeous day. Just enjoying this beautiful morning. I think it's like 10 a.m. I'm here at the shop a little bit early. I wanted to make a video for you guys. It's morning coffee with Mike. Guys, click up here to watch Project Tabletop. I got a lot. Last time I was talking about the store in the last video, my store, my game store, and a lot of people were telling me it's cool and I'm living the dream, doing what I want to do. Check out the series and what I went through to put this place together, um, and how much work went into it to basically open this place from scratch. Anyways, okay, so welcome to Morning Coffee with Mike. It is a beautiful day. I don't want to say it's a beautiful day without being outside to show you guys that it is a beautiful day. All right, so I kind of want to talk about something that's very important. And it's been brought up on Mike of the Night, the Raven. The Raven brought it up himself. And I'm going to give him kudos to it because he said that we will be priced out of food. People will be priced. We're priced out of housing. We're priced out of almost everything imaginable. Could we be heading towards being priced out of our own food? The answer is yes, we can be. The way things are headed, they could engineer anything they want. They could engineer a weather crisis. They could engineer a pandemic. They could engineer a food shortage. They could engineer anything and blame it on anything. And yes, food shortages will be coming. People will be. I don't think food shortage. Okay, let me take this back. I don't think food shortage. I think price affordability for food. Now, let's start off with the United States of America. Amerifornia is coming. Now Let's talk about the United States of America. Walmart's have this new like facial ID blah 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 that they keep track of people shoplifting. So what people have been doing, a lot of college grads and stuff, what they've been doing is they've been putting stuff into their cart and they've been slipping a few things into their purse and wallet or in their back pocket or in their duffel bag while they're shopping. And what Walmart is doing now, it's actually keeping, and the people are stealing food. And what Walmart is doing, it's actually keeping track of the barometrics and who's doing it. So when they reach X amount of dollars stolen, then they charge them for grand theft. And for stealing food, okay, if a banker steals from the bank, he just pays a fine and says he's sorry. But if a person steals food because they're hungry or they can't afford to buy it, watch out. You will do time for that. You will do time. You will. Especially if Walmart is using the technology in their favor. So, with those those checkouts, automated checkouts, Walmart's been recording people and recording them when they go to the checkout. When they have the proof, they compile it and they actually add a name from the debit card or the Visa that was used. They actually add a name to the photo of the person or the image of the person that's doing auto pay where there's no cashier, and they actually archive that until it reaches $1,000 or more, and then they go ahead and press charges and do grand theft instead of doing these petty thefts. But they're putting this all in, obviously to protect their bottom line, but obviously to penalize not the bankers from stealing money from the banks or from us, but from people stealing food, right? Okay, let's shuffle over to England. Now in England, it's gotten so bad in England that over 8 million people in England are living in a terrible, below poverty, rat-stricken, position right now. You wouldn't believe it, but it's happening in England. England has reported, we also covered it here on the show, that they have more food banks than they do, I think it's Burger King, Subway restaurants, and a couple of other restaurants combined. And the city of London has over 1,100 food banks. I thought maybe, okay, 100, but the city of London and surrounding area, it's got over 1,100, and it's outstripping the fast food restaurants. So there's more food banks, right? Okay, let's shuffle over to Australia. Now this is all pre-COVID. So this stuff I'm talking about is already from 2019, 2018. This is not COVID hit and we're hitting hard times. We're already already hitting hard times before, right? So this is pre-COVID. So look at the videos so you can see what I'm talking about. Now, okay, let's move forward here. Australia. Homeowners in Australia, homeowners that have a mortgage are getting bank vouchers at their banks from the banks to go to the food banks to give them food so they don't fall behind on their mortgages. This is pre-COVID. So that's how bad it was getting, that people couldn't afford to buy food. This tells you that people are bought out of food. They can't afford to buy food. Now, food prices keep going up. And we've been covering it on the channel. I did a video 5-6 years ago. Hopefully the link's up there. Where my food has surpassed the price of my rent. It did. Right? With a couple of kids, it's not that hard for food to surpass the price of rent. When you're paying a couple of $100 a week, right? $400 or $500 a week, it just surpassed your rent. So keep that in mind too, right? Okay. So then let's move over to New Zealand, where it's kind of bizarre what's happening in New Zealand, but for food, it's getting tough. There's a lot of people now that have been there's a couple of stories. I don't know if I should cover them because it gets too nitty and gritty, but there's been major food issues in Australia, not shortage, but affordability for food. And I know one major reason of that is a lot of Chinese have been buying farms in New Zealand, especially the dairy farms. I know I'm not supposed to talk about the dairy farmers on my channel. I've already been warned by YouTube of the dairy crisis that's happening in New Zealand. So I won't be talking about that. You can look that up yourself. It's actually a major issue, and it's causing the price of dairy in New Zealand to go nuts. There's a few other things I can mention about New Zealand, but they're just gonna either remove the video and stuff because it's the truth, and that's what it is, right? So now let's go back to the United States. They caught a ring, not a ring, but a ring of criminals that have been stealing catalytic converters in LA County. And catalytic converters are the resonator piece, or the converter piece in your muffler that takes away noises, toxins, and all kinds of stuff. Now, what's happened is it's got a lot of precious metals in it, and it has rhodium in it. I think rhodium is gone up to astronomical levels. I haven't checked the price of rhodium lately, but I know it's gone up several 1,000%. Now, they've been stealing catalytic converters from vehicles, and they caught a ring with a warehouse full of several hundred converters. And they do mechanics on the side, but the mechanic and the jobs they're doing for people aren't paying enough. So they go out at night and they start stealing catalytic converters off vehicles. Now, the problem with that is when you start your car, it goes rah! When you start it up because you have no catalytic to resonate, then the sounds, the poisons, the toxins, and the smoke goes right into your car. Because your catalytic converters are usually below where the driver and passenger sit, usually around that area, depending on what kind of vehicle you own. And their excuse was, we do our business, but we can't afford to buy food. We just can't afford to buy food. So I was doing a bit of math, and if I was living in Vancouver with my business down there, it did really well. So I'm not going to complain. I saved. I did okay. But if I didn't have any savings to rely on, and I was still renting, my rent, by the way, would be over $3,500 right now. It would have gone up to that much over the last 5 years. Probably $4,000 a month. That's what it'd be at. So, yeah, my rent already, when I was there, it went up twice. Once every year, right? So that's what's happening right now. And affordability for food. And, like, are you storing food? You know, I had a guy message me from Attleboro, Massachusetts. And he told me that food's gotten, like, he's been kind of actually eating his freeze-dry My Patriot supply food. He's like, Mike, I got my food supply. I can't afford groceries till next, like, Thursday. Should I start eating my emergency food? I asked him, do you want to starve? This is this is an emergency. You have no food. He replied and he said, yeah, you're right. I just don't want to have to come to grips with having to use my emergency food because I am in an emergency. Right? Now, let's go over to Texas. Let's go over to parts of, was it Alabama? Where you got these lineups of cars waiting for food and water. And it's not, so what kind of throws you for a curveball, there's a lot of really nice Porsches there, BMW SUVs, a lot of really good looking sports cars in that lineup, lining up for food. And this is becoming a norm. This is becoming a norm. Another thing that's becoming a norm in America that people need to accept is this strange phenomena coming to Alabama, Florida, Texas, Arizona. It's Amerifornia. And what Amerifornia has been doing is that it's basically turning America now that America is a full-blown liberal, it's got a liberal leader, and it's joining the ranks of Canada, New Zealand, Australia, and the UK to actually impoverish their own people by selling the real estate to the highest bidders and leaving the locals and lowering rates to accommodate that for people that already own so they could jump into something bigger or think they're getting a better deal somewhere else. When realistically, mathematically, it doesn't make any sense. So there's a lot of people. I got another person email me that bought their house in 2016 in Vancouver. Okay? And they bought their home, detached home, 3-bedroom, 1-bath, bungalow in Vancouver proper. And their house went up, I think, $500,000. Okay? This is 6 years later. They bought it in 2015. 6 years later, they're using their home as ATMs. They don't. So if you bought it at a good time, but he said he refinanced his mortgage and his price went his price went up a little bit. So when he refinanced it, instead of refinancing the original $940,000 that he paid to pay the bungalow originally in 2016. I gotta read the email, but what he already originally had to reborrow to pay all that stuff off, his payment went up $1,740 or $1,630 a month, right? And then that started to hit him hard, and then he started to borrow more on the home equity as homes kept going up. Now he says if he sells, he could probably walk away with 30 grand in his pocket, but I mean the amount of trouble. So here's the problem. Here's the problem with this. If there's a correction in the price, or correction is on its way, or, okay, let's make it as easy as humanly, logistically possible. If housing goes and is actually tied to upper average wage earners, if it's tied to that, then houses need to go back to 3, 4, 500,000 max. That's it. Because that's what the upper average wage earner, so someone working for the government or somebody, let's say a mechanic or somebody, a plumber, so upper average wage to get back in. I'm not talking about low wage earners and minimum wage and cash earners. I'm talking like 4 levels up the ladder. Housing needs to come down a good 40-50% to keep it in check with, if you tie, because Canada for the longest time, its housing was tied to wages. When there was layoffs, the price of how you started to see more homes on the market. Now we got more homes in the market, but you get foreign investors buying it up and bidding it up, and the locals that are still working and trying to get in the market can't get in. So locals can't buy their own property. Locals can't get into their own properties. In cities they were born and raised and have a college degree. So this is a major issue that's happening, and Amerifornia is coming. Amerifornia knows how to party because now it has joined the ranks with the new president-elect Joe Biden. Is going to go ahead and make sure it follows in suit with all the other English-speaking countries around the world. Guys, Mike Martins here. Good morning. It is Friday and it's morning coffee. I'm going to brew some Joe right now. Lots of love, guys. Thank you so much for being part of the channel. Thanks for subscribing and commenting. It means quite a bit to me that you guys do that and contribute to the channel by commenting and sharing. Let me know what you guys think. Mike Martin signing out from my comic book store. I have spoken.